do that. And with what I went ahead and had an active rest day for me, because it's been a couple days since I had an active rest day, and I went outside and really just walked up and down my street. It's kind of rainy where I'm at, but all that being said, man, it feels so freaking good just to be able to get outside. Like I try and stay grateful about that, man, because again, you go through weeks like we had like a couple weeks ago. Pretty much stayed inside for like 10 to 14 days in a row. Like I can't. It drains me, man. I can't keep looking at the same four walls all the time. I need to get some fresh air. I need to be out in the wind a little bit. Like just feel like I'm on planet Earth and not in some alien spacecraft. I need proof of that. So it's been I'm very grateful when it comes down to, being able to go outside. I think even tomorrow, I might even do like a at-home workout with the home gym and stuff like that. We'll see. I might do that at some point this week. I need to get some stuff recorded. But that all being said, I hope you guys are going on with this week very strong and keeping within the rhythm we need to be in. Now, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is there's 3 moments where fat loss is actually decided throughout your day, right? And I want to make sure we go over this because, guys, essentially what I'm going to be talking about today is the main areas in any given day where it's very easy to fall off of your goals. I need to make you guys aware of that so you can understand, like, hey, if I'm trying to burn body fat, I need to be aware of these things so that way I don't compromise myself, right? I don't compromise my goals. I don't intentionally go into the wrong direction, right? So that being said, what are the 3 areas? The very basic, I'm going to keep this very easy to understand, but the number one thing is obviously going to be in the morning time, right? Guys, your morning dictates how your day is going to go. And so what I mean by that is a lot of you guys don't have a morning routine. A lot of you guys don't even know what time of day you're waking up in the morning, right? And you guys wonder why you struggle with time management. Well, that's where part of it is. First thing you got to do, I'll go ahead and give you guys a tip when it comes down to time management. The first 2 things you need to know as far as time management goes is what time you're waking up every day and what time you're going to bed. Do you have to stick to that exactly? No, but guys, this is called the savage fucking standard for a reason. You need to set a standard. You need to understand what you need to aim for so you can stay within the parameters you need to be working within. You don't even know how much time you have in your day if you don't have those set, right? So start with that. That's a huge one. But making sure you wake up, make sure you stick to the routine you have set in place. And guys, I need to make sure this is very clear. There's a lot of Instagram bullshit out there with a bunch of crazy morning routines. You don't have to do that. Guys, the morning routine is there and should be designed based off of helping specifically you, not the person you're watching on Instagram or TikTok or wherever, right? So a big thing, I'll go ahead and tell you guys what I personally do. I go ahead and first thing in the morning, you guys know what I do. I do my egg flip, right? You guys are probably seeing that on your For You page, me flipping that egg and I do my way out. That's the first thing I do every morning. Almost immediately I wake up and do that, right? Now, I do have like a set time of day. I wake up in the morning and stuff like that, but am I always up at that time? I'm supposed to be up at 7 a.m., right? Am I always up at 7 a.m.? No, sometimes I'm up at like 6:50. Sometimes I'm up at 7:20. Sometimes I'm being a real lazy bitch. I'll get up at like 7:40 and then I'm late getting into my day and I have to hurry along and I start rushing, right? I go through all that same stuff too, but I have a standard to realign myself with. Do you guys see what I'm getting at here? Without that standard to realign yourself with, you get very, very confused and that can get you all kinds of diluted in the wrong direction, right? So that's what I do. That's a big part of my morning routine. I'll do that. I'll go ahead and get my 2 to 3 miles of cardio in. I'll take a shower and I'll get to work. Very simple stuff, right? A lot of you guys probably do a lot of that's take a shower in the morning or brush your teeth in the morning. A lot of the same stuff, but you have to have it kind of set in stone so you start doing it habitually, right? That's the stuff that's going to be very important to make sure, because guys, you can't just have 1 or 2 good days. You got to be consistently doing this every day for months to see any results, not to mention keep them. Right? So make sure we got that part down first. That when we're talking about the morning, make sure we have some kind of morning structure right before you start your day. That's a big one. That gets a lot of people right off the bat because you don't get that down, you're not even going to start your day off right or on the right foot. The next part, very simple, midday friction points, right? So this is where stuff like stress is starting to accumulate. You're starting to have to deal with stuff called decision fatigue. If you guys have been around for a little bit, you guys have probably heard me talk about decision fatigue a lot. Decision fatigue is essentially when you're having to make and this is going to be big for a lot of you guys who have to work a lot of desk jobs, or a lot of you guys who have to make a lot of decisions. Maybe you're a manager, make a lot of decisions every day. The problem is that a lot of you guys don't realize how much that mentally drains you, and we need to eliminate a lot of decision fatigue so that way we can optimize what we should be doing. Easy example of this, guys, is to make sure you have either meal prepped or you know exactly what you're eating for lunch that day instead of thinking about it in the moment, right? Oh, what am I eating for lunch today? And it's already noon. You only have an hour to choose. And now you're all of a sudden you're going to go eat fast food when you know you're not supposed to be eating fast food. Right? Decision fatigue. This is what gets people. Or, they'll start talking to themselves about what they're going to be doing in the evening, and they'll start already kind of battling themselves out of going to the gym. There's a lot of different ways this can get you, but we have to be very aware of this because this is what gets a lot of people. I know I've been doing this for over a decade, helping people do this. But your brain starts negotiating around this point. This is when you start kind of feeling tired, right? It's honestly it's a little bit later in the day, but it's around this time of day. So we have to be very aware of making sure that we have our goals locked in. We know exactly what we're supposed to be doing. We know what we're supposed to be eating. We know what time of day we're supposed to be going to the gym. All of this should already be clarified for yourself. Then you don't negotiate that. With my clients, we call it non-negotiables. Okay? You don't negotiate with terrorists, and this is going to be a terrorist to your freaking fitness journey. Straight up, right? Any bad decision in fitness has been made from negotiation. Do not negotiate. Okay? I promise you guys, it's exactly what sense, because you always regret it afterwards. Every single time you broke it on your diet, you regret it about 15 minutes later. Every time you decided to not go to the gym and you wake up the next morning when you have that full energy, you feel bad about it. Okay? Let's just not, you got to remember this. You got to remember how bad that feeling, a lot of times that feeling feels way worse than actually just doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? So let's just go ahead and learn our lesson and get on with ourselves, right? Now, the last part is pretty obvious, and I can see this is where I get really jacked up. But the night window, this is where it's high risk. So you're probably your tiredest of the day, right? You're probably going to be pretty hungry because you've burned a lot of calories throughout the day. Emotional regulation is going to be pretty low, so that means you're a little bit more susceptible to being emotionally charged, right, or reactive to emotions. So like if something pisses you off and you want to cope with it with like a freaking midnight snack, or you wake up in the middle of the night, can't go back to sleep, so you want to cope with it with a midnight snack, listen, that's my biggest thing. I can't tell you guys how many times I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I start digging into some like dry cereal just because I got a little bit of hunger. I still do that. Obviously you guys have been watching me drop weight and stuff. I still mess up sometimes to do that, right? I'm not perfect. I need to make that very well known. I'm not trying to spread perfectionism around here. I'm trying to make sure you guys know that what is important is having a standard set. Not so you can be perfect, so you have something to aim for. It's very important. But this is where a lot of overeating happens. And a lot of people don't track these calories. Here's the thing I always do. Even if I mess up and I do that, I always track those. Guys, even if you mess up, because here's the problem that really, this fucks people up in fat loss. They eat these little side snacks. They eat these little midnight snacks, or they'll eat these little candies and treats that they're just telling themselves in their head, oh, it's not that big a deal. I don't have to track it. And you don't realize you're eating 100, 200, maybe even 300, 400 calories extra a day, and you're doing that every day. That will throw you out of a calorie deficit, and that'll make it where the scale will not budge, which is a problem, right? Especially if we're trying to burn 30, 40, 50 pounds, that's a problem. If you haven't seen that scale move in a few months, that's a problem. We need to address that, okay? We can't just keep telling ourselves, oh no, everything's hunky-dory, I'm doing everything right. No, something's off. Either you're not eating the right amount of calories, or you maybe you're tracking everything correctly, but maybe you're in a calorie zone that it doesn't need to be in. Right? For my clients, more than likely not going to be the case because I've already calculated that for you, but for the people watching this, it could be the case, right? Another big thing, and what's more likely going to be the option, is that you just aren't tracking accurately. You're not using a food scale. You're eating stuff and not tracking it, right? You're drinking stuff and not tracking it. Like, there's so many different ways this can go down the wrong hole. You need to get very good at tracking accurately and consistently. Right? I'm not saying that has to be perfect either. At that point, it's going to be a matter of playing around with numbers and seeing how everything goes. Right? Now, I need to mention this because this pops up for my people all the time too, especially for people who need to drop like anywhere between 50 to 100 plus pounds. The weight will fluctuate, right? And so when you're going to see these giant ups and downs, or maybe, I just did that whole spiel about talking about like if you're not seeing that scale change. Well, yeah, if you're not seeing that scale change month to month to month, there's something going on. Something's not right, right? But that being said, what also is probably going on is water weight fluctuations, right? Like the reality is, if you have a 50 to 100 pounds to lose, it's probably very hard for you to drink the amount of water you need to not see those water fluctuations. So you're going to see those. So that's something I want to let you guys know about too. You will see those water fluctuations. But if it's been months and you're not seeing that scale go down, I don't care how big I don't care what's going on, something's wrong, right? So we need to figure that out. And a lot of the times, I would say honestly about 75% of the time, it's midnight eating. It's midnight snacking. You're not thinking about it. You're not registering it. You're not tracking it. And that's why it's getting away from you, right? So we got to be aware of these three things: the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. Because this is where people really lose it, right? And it's just simply a matter of like trying to identify what you're specifically struggling with in these areas, especially like your biggest struggle, the thing that you're that's really messing with your progress the most, and hammering down on that, and then chunking it down the line, chunking it down the line, chunking it down the line. That's how you get results, right? So we have to make sure. One thing I cannot stress, and I've talked about it this whole live stream: don't chase perfection. You're not going to be perfect at this, okay? But if there's areas you know you need to improve upon, let's go ahead and start putting our focus towards that and start chipping away so we can get better and better and better each and every single day, okay? That's all I've got for you guys today. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am very low energy today, so sorry if I sound it. I feel it right now. I don't feel sick. I just feel very tired. Very, very, very tired. Calorie range is where it needs to be. I think a big part of this is just the shift in temperature again. In fact, I'm about to start sweating. It's almost 75 degrees, which is crazy because last week it was like freaking below zero, literally. It's a crazy temperature change. So it's probably having something to do with that. Plus, I'm in my calorie deficit. So something that's going along with that, if you guys haven't been keeping up with the egg videos, I'm at the lowest I've been. 217.4 as of this morning, as far as like not the lowest I've ever been, but the lowest I've been since we started this cut. So I imagine that's probably playing into an effect of it as well. But that being said, bear with me. We'll get that energy back, hopefully. I feel great. Like, I don't feel sick at all. I just feel very tired. You know what I mean? I also just got done working out, so it's probably something to do with that. But I'll see you guys on Thursday for another live stream for the week, and then, of course, Saturday for our last one of the week. So see you guys then. Stay on track. Track those calories. Hit those workouts. Get those steps in. Make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, because a lot of people neglect that one. And I'll see you guys next time.